Ahead and start. I'm going to call this meeting to order this Thursday, April 14th, 2022. Please rise for the invocation and memorial times by Member Johnston.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to ask that we have a moment of silence to remember those who are living in regions of conflict, those who have lost their family members, their homes, their livelihoods, and even their country as they flee to safety. Thank you.
Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. County Clerk, please call the roll.
Sharon Chung, absent. Leah Klein,
Here.
Matt Coates, Chuck Erickson,
Present.
William John Friedrich,
Here.
Elizabeth Johnston,
Here.
Val Lehman,
Present.
Randall Martin,
Present.
Catherine Metzger,
Present.
Jim Rogal,
Present.
Susan Schaefer,
Here.
James Sollner, absent. Gerald Thompson, Shana Wachinski, George Wendt, absent. Josh Barnett,
Present.
Hannah Beer, Beverly Bell, Lindsay Bloomfield, John McIntyre,
Here. I think we have 17 members present and 3 absent. We do have a quorum. Number 5 on your agenda is appearance by members of the public and county employees. In reference to an agenda item, we have no one who's applied to speak today, so I'll move on to consent agenda item number 6. You have that before you. This is a month where we have a lot of reappointments and appointments, and so there's a number here as well. What say you? Member Thompson, motion, second by Member Metzger. Any comments, questions, additions, or corrections? Member Metzger.
I just want to, you mentioned the reappointments, and I do want to acknowledge all of these people who have stepped forward to serve our communities, and the work that they do is important work and very important for small communities, especially those that are in those rural districts. So I just wanted to acknowledge all of those names that are on there, how important the work they do, and that they have accepted additional responsibilities for additional time. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. We need always to have people come out and volunteer. The first 5 names on there are new people on our boards. Really appreciate them stepping forward. Some great people there in our community. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion has carried. We do have a transfer ordinance. Item D requires 2/3 vote. Any dissenting votes on the transfer ordinance? Hearing none, then I'll deem that to pass unanimously. Thank you very much. And we will move on to, upside down here. Approval resolutions and congratulations and commendations. And at this time, I'd like to give the floor to Member Jim Rogal about National Work Zone Awareness Week.
Thank you, Chairman McIntyre. Whereas National Work Zone Awareness Week is a way to raise public awareness for work zones and those who work in them, and encourage motorists to slow to posted speed limits, eliminate distractions while driving, and be watchful for roadway workers. There are equipment and vehicles on the side of the road in work zones, and whereas according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in 2020, on average, more than 2 persons per day were killed in work zones. There were 857 fatal crashes in the U.S. work zones, up from 521 in 2010. And injuries from work zone crashes increased in that same period from 36,000 to 39,000. And whereas during National Work Zone Awareness Week, national organizations such as the United States Department of Transportation, Federal Highway Administration, and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the American Traffic Safety Service Association, the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials, the Association of General Contractors of America, the National Safety Council, and a wide variety of other partners work collaboratively to raise awareness of work zones and roadway safety. And whereas the Illinois Department of Transportation and the McLean County Highway Department focus on safe roads and work zones and strive to keep employees and the public safe during road and street repairs and work zones. And whereas Go Orange Day takes place on Wednesday, April 13th, 2022, and provides an opportunity to unite in wearing orange to show support for men and women who work tirelessly to keep our roads safe. And whereas a moment of silence will be held Friday, April 15th, to honor the lives of lost in work zones. Whereas solutions to keeping everyone safe in work zones and on our roadways is our collective responsibility. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the McLean County Board that April 11th through the 15th, 2022 is designated as National Work Zone Awareness Week in McLean County. As many of you know, we lost a road worker last year, or a year before last, working on a highway project here in McLean County. This hits home to a lot of our workers here in the area. So I'll be presenting this to members of the building trades on Monday at their regular scheduled meeting.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the standing committee reports. Executive committee, we have a rare reversal of roles since Mr. Solner's not here, so I will take these. Item A1A is a request approval of mental health action plan. Before I move on this, I just want to say and compliment Member Schaefer, who has spent over a year working on this plan. She was one of the original members in the community that helped write the plan in 2015. So it was time to take a look at it and kind of do a status update. Almost all the material in there that was in the 2015 plan with some additional things as well. So if you look at that, and if you have read the 2015 plan, then you can just take them and compare. That's an easier way to do that if you go through it. So at this time, I will move. Is there a second? Second by Member Metzger. Comments, questions? Member Schaefer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just would like to point out a few things in the update. There were many contributors to the project, and there were over 25 of them, or about 25 individuals wrote parts of the update. And many of them were BHCC members who are the CEOs and executive directors of those organizations. If you have read it, you would see that it's kind of divided up into a couple of sections, and in each section that gives a little bit of history from the 2015 plan, the accomplishments that we've had since then, and the recommendations. And those recommendations all came from the BHCC members. They are the ones that have to implement those recommendations. And they are stepping up and moving forward with those recommendations. And I think that we are making quite a bit of inroads into the systemic changes that were pointed out that needed to be made in the 2013 National Institute of Corrections report that was extremely critical of our community services. And I think that this update shows what we've really accomplished and where we need to go. And I urge you all to support the actions that are being recommended in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Metzger?
I have reviewed that report, and I will tell you, I also found that it is extremely comprehensive, and it's good to know, and I was aware that the implementation will be from those individuals who actually helped write the objectives and the actions that need to be taken. But in addition, I think one of the most important pieces of this document happens to be in the appendices. And I would recommend that people don't just read the nuts and bolts at the beginning, but to actually go back to the back and look at all those appendices.
I'd like to make a couple comments about the plan, having been here, around here at the beginning with this, because I chaired the Needs Committee, which determined the needs in the county at that time. Just a couple points about this. The Behavioral Health Coordinating Council is kind of as a result of the plan, but it's not, the key word here is recommendations. It's an advisory group. And so it's not necessarily something that has to be carried out from the plan, but there are good guidelines there, and there are a lot of social service providers who are participating in that. And so it's a matter of trying to provide direction in what we're doing. When we vote, other than this plan, which is basically a guidebook, then we vote on spending money or taking action when it comes to us, and parts of the plan that come to us that are due, because we are in charge of the business end of the Mental Health Action Plan through the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council. But Behavioral Health Coordinating Council gives consensus recommendations, basically what it is. So I hope that helps. Anybody else? Member Johnston?
Thank you. I also wanted to acknowledge the work that was put into this by our community partners to update the plan. I know that we have, as a community, faced many challenges since the plan was kind of first imagined. And I definitely see our role to facilitate communication and discussion among service agencies in our community. That's highlighted in great depth in this plan. There's a lot of metrics about how do we meet that communication, how do we collaborate on those services. Um, One of the things that as we move forward, I noted on page 42, it looks like this is going to become an annual update. Is that correct? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, would you like to address that issue? Okay.
Thank you, Chairman McIntyre. At the end of each year, we would like to acknowledge the accomplishments of that year and update the plan with the recommendations. We will not be putting in new recommendations. It will just be an update to what is already written to show our progress at the end of each year. And then at the end of every third year, we will be updating the plan.
Okay.
So we found in the past that when you wait 5 years to try to remember all the great things that have been accomplished by our wonderful community providers and the county, city, and town, it's difficult to remember. And so we'd like to make a more concerted effort to do that on a more regular basis.
Excellent. And I think that that's going to help make this document the living document that we want it to be, one that's going to be evolving and addressing community needs. Some of the metrics that weren't outlined, and if there's a possible way to do that, I'd like to see us look at how will we know that we're being more successful in expanding services, not just for the crisis, right, but for general mental health, mental wellness. Um, I saw lots of instances where service providers were asked and given input, not as much where I would have wanted to see participation from community members giving input for what their needs are on the ground, mainly just from the providers. So if there's a way to do that, there wasn't as much. I would still like to see us as a board, as a county government, being a little bit more explicit about what are the recidivism programs that we're doing in the jail to help lower that rate. So those are the kinds of things that I think, because we talk about it in, what was it called? Section of it. The sequential intercept model. It gives kind of an overview, but not as much detail as I think might be helpful for the community to know that we are spending money on these programs, but I think they want to know what they're getting for it. And so from that perspective, one of the things that I would like to consider is simply to give opportunity for the public to make comment is to potentially table this for a month to May, just so that the public can have access to the document to
Member
give some
Johnston,
feedback.
this BHCC meeting, committee has been meeting now for 6 years.
I
And
know
you're
that.
always welcome to come to it and speak. In fact, I'll invite you to come and address the committee. Okay? Would you like
Right.
to do that? Because
I
I've always invited all county board members to come. It's a public, open meeting. If you have other things to offer as a county board member, you're welcome.
appreciate that. I
Okay?
appreciate that. Um, the meetings
And we
can,
have invited people. In fact, we've had public input sessions.
yes,
So we've already done that.
But this is the first, and the public still doesn't have access to this mental health action plan that we're planning to vote on tonight. So what I'm asking is potentially to table this, allow it to be part of the public so that they can see it and come give us feedback before we vote on it.
So are you making a substitute motion?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to table for 1 month.
Would you like to postpone it to a date certain?
Yes, to the May County Board meeting.
Okay, that is May 14th, I believe. I'm sorry, May 12th?
12.
Okay, thank you. May 12th, Thursday, May 12th. Is there a second? Member Bell, the second. Since it's a postponement to a date certain, I've been advised that we can discuss it briefly. So if there are any brief statements to be made, I'll entertain them at this time. Member Lehman.
Yeah, I'd like to echo the thanks for all of the folks who came together to put this incredibly comprehensive program and pack it together for us. I will be voting in favor of tabling it for the simple fact that we received this final status of it at about 3 o'clock on Tuesday. And knowing that we did have so many items on the agenda, as folks will see on the consent agenda, that had a pretty hefty packet this time around, to be able to really go through and truly go through the mental health action plan in a way that allows us time to kind of digest it, as well as to perhaps come to the table with relevant and intelligent questions on it. I think it would be fantastic to just have a month to really review it and to truly be able to understand and to ask the questions that might be there, and to be able to give the appropriate kudos to all those that came together.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Any
for the
other
opportunity.
comments? Member Frederick?
Yes, I was Chairman, you stated that this is a general guideline.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that just a little bit? Because it's something that we're not in concrete, and
Yeah, maybe
I'm struggling with postponing this if it's just a general guideline.
Let me back up a little bit and see if I can explain a little bit more about the process in this, because action items that come to our board actually these are guidelines, and then when we meet, the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council meets, and then if there's new initiatives that come for approval, then they come here to the board that way. But the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council decides those. This is an initiative for things that are additional mental health services for the county, besides what we do with our health department. These are additional things to help to try to improve different initiatives. So anything we vote on county board-wise comes from the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council. And the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council just wrote a revision of this plan of the original one that was 2015. I'm wondering how many of you have read the one that we've had in place there while you've been on the board? Anybody? Have you? So then it should be easy for you to just go ahead and add some things, because all they did was go through that and then revise. That's my opinion, okay, but obviously that may not be what others think. So other comments? Member Schaefer, I think you're next.
Yeah, I'd like to address some of the things that Member Johnston said. The CHIP and the CHNA, the Community Health Needs Assessment, has been done for numerous years, and that does provide metrics as to some of the things that she was talking about on what we're doing and making an impact in the community. So that already has been going on for many years. As far as community members, on some of those community groups that are acknowledged in the Mental Health Action Plan update, there's probably over 150 individuals that represent a very wide swath of the community that actually did have input with some of the things that they've been doing. And as for the detail in the jail programs, that got kind of left out. So I think that by not passing this tonight and tabling it is pretty much dismissing those CEOs and those executive directors of those organizations that will be implementing and making the changes, because they're the ones that are going to do the work. They also know what the needs are and what they can do with those to address, what they can do with their agencies to address the needs of the community. And so I think that that is kind of not a good look for the county board to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Member Metzger?
Once again, I believe, similar to what Member Schaefer has said, this document is a working document. Any decisions that come from that will come to this board. To table it does not seem prudent, and I am not voting to table it because I believe that the public has had input, the public will continue to have input, and attending the Behavioral Health Committee meetings that are open to the public, or even reading the meeting minutes. If they have questions, they certainly have the opportunity to talk to their board members and bring it forward. I don't see how tabling this is going to benefit anyone, and so I am not voting in favor of tabling this document.
Sorry, Member Johnston? And then-
Yeah, I had tried to go back and find the minutes and a recording of the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council meeting. And when I looked, there's nothing since June of 2021. So I had hoped to go back because I have a conflict that morning when you have the meetings. And so I'd hoped to go back and listen to what they had to say, and I was not able to access either minutes or recording to listen to it. I do not feel like this is a slap in the face. I feel like this is an opportunity for people to be able to read through and come back with better questions and a better understanding of what's going on, especially since we aren't going to update for another 3 years. If it was updated once a year, then I could possibly see that, but if we're not going to update it again for 3 years, I'm just asking that we give it some time to think through. This is not to end it. This is simply to give us time to discuss
Yeah,
it.
there's a little disconnect here, I think, on how we're seeing this. The county board is not going to write this mental health action plan. They're going to approve what the BHCC advised. Do you see that? Or else we'll have to just do away with the BHCC and say, we want to have a mental health committee or a board to spend money for mental health action made up of county board members, another committee. We have committees that do spend money for mental health. It's called the Health Department and the Board of Health. These are additional things. And these people that come here are volunteer leaders in this community. They're going to write this plan. So are we just going to approve it? It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a disconnect. It's kind of hard to see because you'd say, well, wait a minute. We're here now, we're voting on it. Should we even be taking action and voting on it? Should we? Or should we be taking action and voting when there's recommendations come for things that have to do with our budget and spending money? See what I mean? Or do you want to come in now and have a committee and work and revise this plan again? Let me know if you're going to do that, because I'm chairman of the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council, and I have been since it started. And I'll talk to those folks and we'll say, well, the county board members, they just want to do it themselves. Maybe you can do that too if you want. Or you can come and contribute as we work through this with the leaders in this community who provide social services. Yeah. Leah?
I'd like to call the question, please.
All right, thank you. Question's been called, and this is to postpone, I think the word is to a date certain. It's called postpone now instead of table to a date certain, until May 12th, to consider and take action on this. Okay? Let's have a roll call vote. Yes vote is in favor of the motion to postpone.
Leah Klein,
Yes.
Matt Coates,
Yes.
Chuck Erickson,
Yes.
William John Friedrich,
No.
Elizabeth Johnston,
Yes.
Val Lehman,
Yes?
Randall Martin, Catherine Metzger,
No.
Jim Rogal,
Yes.
Susan Schaefer,
No.
Gerald Thompson,
No.
Shana Wachinsky,
Yes.
Josh Barnett,
Yes.
Hannah Beer,
Yes.
Beverly Bell,
Yes.
Lindsay Bloomfield, John McIntyre.
No, and I think 10 yes, 7 no's, and so this will be tabled and brought up for action again on May 12th on our agenda. So the motion, the substitute motion did pass. We'll move on to item B, request approval and emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2021 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance. It requires 2/3 vote, and I so move. Is there a second? Second by Member Thompson. Comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. And opposed? Motion's carried. Let's go on to item C, request approval of a resolution of the McLean County Board amending the rules of the McLean County Board as contained within Chapter 20 of the McLean County Code as found on pages 277 and 278. And I'll so move. Is there a second? Second by Member Johnston. Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye. And opposed? The motion's carried. Item D is an intergovernmental agreement with Regional Office of Education for Behavioral Health. That's found on pages 279 to 281. This is coming from BHCC, from the Regional Office of Education, and that's where we do take action and spend money. So at this time, I will so move. Second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions? Discussion? This is for the Bridge program, I believe, isn't it, this time? The Bridge program, if you don't know about what it is, the schools will have a separate small school area for those students who maybe have been mentally ill or been treated and are having trouble adjusting to school. And so there will be people there helping them. This is not like regional alternative school. It's a parallel to it. And so the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council saw that as part of our youth needs that's in your plan. And so that's where the recommendation comes from, and that's where the action item is for. I did get a motion and second. Any other comments? All in favor, please say aye. And opposed? Motion has carried. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the report of the Finance Committee. Chairman Metzger.
Thank you, Chairman McIntyre. We have a number of items, and 7B, 1, A and B, I'd like to combine if it is appropriate or if you
Are there any
approve.
objections to combining A and B? Hearing none, you may proceed.
So we have a request of approval of an Animal Control Center agreement with the Town of Normal and request approval of the Animal Control Warren Services Agreement with the Town of Normal, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Metzger. Is there a second? Second by Member Lehman. Comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion is carried.
7B1C is a request of the contract between the Illinois FOB Labor Council and the County of McLean, McLean County Sheriff of Deputies, Sergeants, Investigators, and Lead Process Servers. And we have a contract that has been negotiated, and we need to approve that. I'm not sure if we need to go into special closed session.
Not
I
unless
don't-
someone asks for it at the time.
Does anybody have?
Let's get the motion on the floor and we'll see.
So I
okay?
move.
All right. Motion by Member Metzger, Chairman Metzger, second by Member Schaefer. Comments or questions? Member Rogal.
Yeah, I don't think this is anything privileged or anything. My only question is, will this put our deputies and our staff on a level enough playing field where we're not losing them to other agencies? Or being able to, will help us to attract possibly other people? I know retention is a problem at our county as well as at all the cities. Just curious if that was taken.
Well, you know how contracts are, Mr. Rogal, because, you know, you're a representative with the union, and obviously the union has accepted this, thinking that it's definitely helping, right? Yeah, that's the best way I can answer that. There's no real good answer for that, except to the fact that the level that the level of pay is at least where they're accepting it, right? And so that's about all I can do. I can't provide you any data or stats on what's going to happen because there's extenuating circumstances when people change jobs, as you know. Does that answer your question? All right. Yeah, as much as I can. Thank you. Anyone else? Member Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I would echo Chairman McIntyre's thoughts on that. I mean, this is, well, could be a moving target. I mean, we're always subject to what other cities are doing and what other counties are doing. So it's something that we're going to have to continuously monitor as we continue to go through that to see that our deputies are paid a competitive salary so we're not losing them. So I do appreciate the concern of Member Rogal, and I would echo the comments of Chairman McIntyre. It's just something we're going to have to look at.
Constantly, and we do have a salary study coming down in a few months for the whole county as well. Okay, any other comments, questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? The motion is carried.
Moving
Yeah,
on
report.
to 7B1D, and that's request approval of a contract between the Laborers International Union of North America, Local 362, and McLean, and the County of McLean, and that's for a Metcom agreement, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Metzger, second by Member Klein. Comments or questions? Discussion. Mr. Rocal.
I'm going to need to recuse myself. While I don't work for 362 and I didn't help negotiate this, my dues do help pay for the people who did, so. I have to
Okay,
recuse
thank
myself.
you. We'll put that on the record. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
And our general report can be found, I believe it was page 12 through 17, in the unapproved meeting minutes. I am open to any questions or if there are any.
Okay, thank you. Let's go on to the report of the Health Committee. Chairman Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Health Committee has no items for action today, and our general report can be found on pages 22 through 26 of the unapproved minutes.
Thank you. Going on to the report of the Justice Committee. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Justice Committee brings one item for action, item D1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2022 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for CAC and CASA, and I so move.
Motion by Chairman Erickson, second by Member Coates. Comments or questions? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. This is a 2/3 vote requirement. Any dissenting votes to be registered? Hearing none, we'll say that it passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Justice Committee has no other items for action. Our general report can be found in the unapproved minutes.
Thank you, sir. We'll go on to the report of the Land Use and Transportation Committee, Vice Chairman Frederick. On property. What?
You skip property.
I missed property. I did.
I-
I'm sorry, it's down at the bottom. Let's go to the Property Committee first. Chairman Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Property Committee's items were all approved in the consent agenda, but I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Thank you. Now we'll go to the report of the Land Use and Transportation Committee, Vice Chairman Frederick.
Land Use and Transportation has no items to bring forth this evening, and our general report can be found on pages 2 through 6 in the unapproved minutes, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Go on to the report of the County Administrator, Ms. Taylor.
I have nothing to present tonight. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to item 9, appearances by members of the public and county employees in reference to an item not on the agenda. We did not have anybody apply to speak this evening, and so we'll go on to see on other business and communication. Item 10, have anyone that has anything they'd like to say? Hearing none, then thank you, everybody. Be good to each other, be safe, and we'll see you soon again, and this meeting is adjourned.